तव पादपङ्कजवन्दनम् इहलोकवुं परलोकवुं उलकागेयुं निरयुन्नोरा करुणया पोरुळिन्नु ഞങ്ങളിലേകണേ करुणामया वन्दनं गुरुवन्दनं तव पादपङ्कजवन्दनं तव पादपङ्कजवन्दनं तव पादपङ्कजवन्दनम्.
Good morning, everybody. Namaste. It is wonderful to have our global Interfaith Summit. This is the first time we are having online program like this. We did so many other programs with the different groups. It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome all of you. And I want to mention about Santhigiri Ashram. I know the master from the 80s, actually. He's the student of our Grandmaster Narayana Guru. And they did a wonderful job in Kerala and all around India with the Ayurveda and women empowerment and different areas. Here I like to invite our co-organizer, Professor Dr. Gopinath Pillai. Because of him, I am hosting this event. Sri Gopinath Pillai, floor is for you.
Thank you, Dilipji. I am extremely happy to welcome you all to this most relevant and important Global Interfaith Summit. In the name of my Guru, Navajyoti Sri Karunagara Guru, the founder Guru of Santhigiri Ashram, Kerala, India. So we know that we have gathered here at a time when the whole world is enmeshed in the grip of the second wave of the dreadful pandemic. We are witnessing a scenario where the limitations of modern science and technology have been crystallized and the vulnerability of our socio-economic and political systems are exposed. It is also important to note in the present context that wisdom accumulated over the past more than 300 years of human striving to achieve development, prosperity, happiness, and peace have brought into limelight the irreparable damage it has done to the mother nature and human sustainability and well-being. In this context of human predicament, the relevance and importance of religions and faith movements have tremendously increased in addressing the vital challenges we all face at all realms of human life. It is the responsibility of the religious and faith leaders to examine historically and analyze objectively the factors that have contributed to the unresolved human predicament and find solutions for the same. We keep on reiterating that our goal is to promote love, harmony, and peace. But we are not addressing the basic reasons that hamper social harmony, peace, and justice. By rendering charity only, we cannot resolve the issues that perpetuate injustice and keep our people emotionally, mentally, and socially divided. The materialistic worldview and modern industrialism and the consumerist culture have been instrumental in sustaining the value-free lifestyle and mode of thinking. As I noticed above, wisdom accumulated over centuries of experience demands basic change in our lifestyle and mode of thinking to achieve human sustainability. We are extremely thankful to Dilip ji for introducing Santhigiri to each one of you and each one of you to Santhigiri. He is a selfless soul who strives to promote the cause of harmony and love among various faith and religious groups. It is something ordained by the Almighty that we all have assembled here at a historic juncture where humanity is passing through one of its most difficult times. In the context of the present human predicament, Santhigiri has a message to present before you. Santhigiri is the abode of a great seer, a Kalandara Guru. Such a Guru descends on earth once in thousands of years to rectify deviations and distortions in the spiritual and material life of humanity and to guide them to a righteous life. Santhigiri is a place where people belonging to all religions, caste, race, and region live together and learn how to live in harmony and peace with fellow beings, Mother Nature, and cosmic order. It is a place from where we learn how can we get over and cleanse our mindset and mode of thinking that breeds violence, discrimination, bias, and intolerance towards others and achieve inner transformation. The living guidance of the Atmajnani Guru in Santhigiri in the material and spiritual life of people makes Santhigiri distinctive and promising. When the present pandemic began in March 2020, one day we asked the Guru designate, Shishya Pujita Amrita Jnana Tavasini, about this pandemic. After a long silence, the Shishya Pujita said, the present one is negligible compared to the serious ones that are in the offing. The Shishya Pujita reminded us of the words of the founder Guru Navajyoti Sri Karunaguru Guru. Quote, I have been cautioning all through these years that the lingering human miseries and unresolved problems, despite the strivings and sacrificial life of the past seers and preceptors, are the inevitable consequence of the way of life and life vision of the humanity, contrary to the cosmic will and laws of the Mother Nature. Though the Almighty God brought into world 2044 seers in the last 5,000 years to guide humanity to truth and a righteous life, people could not follow their teachings in their practical life, and they lived in accordance with their base instincts. If you do not change your lifestyle and life vision and pursue dharma of the present age, you will not be able to withstand the wrath of the Mother Nature. Unquote. Santhigiri is God's gift to humanity. I welcome all religious and faith leaders to this holy place where we can sit together and ponder over the future course of action to save humanity from the impending tragedies under the guidance of the Atmajnani Guru. With these humble words, I remain. Thank you all. This is a great gathering of faith leaders, religious leaders, versatile scholars, and it is a rare opportunity to sit together and ponder over the fundamental issues that haunt the humanity. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor. So wonderful to be part of this event and doing a partnership event. And here I like to invite our spiritual leader from the United Nations NGO group, that is Reverend Dion P. Bashir. She's a chaplain of the Church Center for the United Nations, and she's an ex officio of the Committee of Religious NGOs, which I am belong to, and the NGO representative of the UN. Moreover, a person who always stand for women's right, equality, and all the interfaith harmony. She hosts numerous interreligious, interfaith cultural events at her church without any delay. That's the way. Whenever we ask, she's ready to serve our global community. Here, my spiritual sister, Reverend Yambo Share, floor is for you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Good morning to all, good evening, afternoon, wherever it is that you are and that you find yourself in this place. It is an honor. And as Professor said, Guruji, your heart is just pure and you bring us all together. This Global Interfaith Summit, bringing all of the hearts and minds together as you do, not just for something like this, but on all occasions. It is indeed an honor to be in the midst of these, my siblings across the globe, and for such a time as this. I want to just ask that we take a moment. I know you probably already done it, and many of us are coming from services or coming from events and going to events, and that's what this is all about. But if you could help me center yourselves and just take a moment, because there is much suffering happening across the globe. There is much suffering happening with humanity, with the earth, and everywhere else. And if we can just take a moment of silence, just to reflect on that, and in your own tradition, offer a prayer for the families that are grieving, for the people that are suffering, for the land that is still weeping, and for the blood that is yelling out to us from the earth for justice. If you could just pause for a moment of silence as we come on one accord in this moment. Ashe. Amen. I want to just start just a few reflections. And again, Guruji, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to share. I find myself in many of these gatherings, and I see those of my siblings that are on, my siblings in the struggle. And I want to say to you all that we have been here and we have been talking amongst ourselves for a while. And I think that there is something that needs to shift and change. I agree again with Professor when we say that we have to move now to a place, from a place of charity. And I think that we need to move from a place of charity to or methods of charity to models of justice. And many of us have been doing that in our own respective organizations, and we must just simply come together as we have been doing. And it is almost, as we would say in my tradition, like talking and speaking to the choir, right? I want to say this about today, just a few things to put in perspective. What is a simple plea? Yesterday was Earth Day. And it was also Thursdays in Black. It was every Thursday we gather as a global community to call for the end of rape and all forms of gender-based violence. Rape and violence against women and girls and against the most vulnerable in our communities. It is a global initiative. The World Council of Churches saw that the women that were on the ground and that these women who were doing the work of calling communities together and calling on governments to be able to do something about the women and girls that were going missing in their communities and all over, from Brazil to Africa, and all of these were happening. And then the World Council of Churches took it to the United Nations. There was action that then came from a cry and a plea that happened from the ground. Yesterday was Earth Day as well. And on the United Nations website, it says Mother Earth is clearly urging a call to action. It said nature is suffering and oceans are filling with plastic and turning more acidic. The quote says, extreme heat, wildfires and floods and hurricanes have affected millions of people. And we continue to face COVID-19, a worldwide health pandemic linked to the health of our ecosystem. And so it said that let us be reminded that we need a shift to a more sustainable economy that works for both people and planet. And so it basically said Mother Earth is a common expression for the planet Earth in a number of countries and regions, which reflects that interdependence that exists among human beings and other living species and all the planet that we inhabit. And what I heard from that was that call to action, right? The call from not just talking about how we are suffering. Social justice is not just about speaking about of the ills that are happening. It is just not naming all of the issues without posing some solutions. Martin Luther King Jr., he spoke in many of his sermons and speeches. There was one particular thing, the phrase in one of his sermons that has seeped into so many parts of our regular calls and cries for justice. And it was the fierce urgency of now. And in one scholar wrote an article, and it was talking about the need for education reform. And he says the fierce urgency of now has understandably made its way into our educational reform vocabulary. It has come to mean that the heinous education conditions that cause children to lose their educational lives and socio and economic futures exist because we fail to consistently teach many of them to read and think adequately for these times. The article goes on to say that we interpret the phrase, the fierce urgency of now, as urging the schools, the teachers, the researchers, the policymakers, and others need to stop dithering and wasting time and get down to the business of eradicating unacceptable educational problems with all deliberate speed. And in short, he said that we interpret the fierce urgency of now to mean get to it now, produce results. And so I want to say that my feeling about how we come together in this time, this global interfaith summit, and the need for us to continuously have these dialogues, and there is a need for us to continue to dialogue with one another, to hear from one another. But I want to say that there is a fierce urgency of now. In the same ways in which this heinous educational conditions exist, as the scholar said, I want to say that there is heinous conditionings happening in our world, not just the socioeconomic futures that are at stake, but there is the need to eradicate the environmental injustices that are happening, environmental racism that is happening. There is a need for us to continue to see that there is a problem when we look at all of the ills that are happening in our communities. When we look and we see that there are still death tolls that are rising and surging, not just from COVID-19, but the effects of it, that we are seeing the economic and emotional loss, the deep and compound grief, the mourning and depression that is happening, the multiple pandemics that existed prior to COVID-19, the uprisings and civil unrest that we see happening, violence and torture, the unrelenting medical apartheid, the political and social upheavals of epic proportions that are still happening and ravaging the trauma that not just our people are feeling, but our earth is suffering. We need to produce some results. And there is a fierce urgency of now from us shifting from talking about it, for us then to help urge our constituencies, our faith communities, those within our churches, our mosques, our communities of faith, to see that we must move to producing results now. And so I know what I'm asking for seems like so much, but what I'm asking for us to do is to continue doing the work that we have been doing, for it is needed. I've said before that the United Nations to me is much like the hope of the church universal and the faith community at large that seeks to honor the sacred worth of all humanity, right? I have said before that to protect the right to live in peace with justice, to serve others with humility and grace, and to live in harmony with all of God's creation. This is what the UN stands for, and this is what our work holds true. And I want to say that it is what always has drawn me to this most sacred and holy work. And it is still what keeps me doing the work and the ministry to the world. And we cannot do this alone, so we need one another. And I know that our work, particularly our work there at the Church Center for the United Nations, continues to exist because we need to expand the ecumenical community's capacity to access the UN and to bring a greater voice to the moral and the ethical concerns of the church, international affairs, peacemaking, and advocacy. And so my work is not just about creating sacred space for worship, for hospitality and community activism, and a forum, of course, for partners in civil society. This summit is not just for us to sort of just spew out all the things that we have been doing, for we know we've been doing this work because we do it together. We know that we've been doing this work because we journey and we sojourn together. But we need to transform what is happening now, because there is a fierce urgency of now. There is a need for us to move from just the conversation that we are having to a conviction that we are seeing with people in their minds and their spirits, and that it should then translate to their feet. That we should pray, as I've always said before, not just with our mouths, but we need to pray with our feet. I'll never forget how it feels to begin working together. And when we move as one, there is something that it can change heaven and earth. And so I want to close by just lifting up. There is a scripture in the Gospels of John, and I am one who it holds on to the faith of the faith that my ancestors have, the faith that the ones who have bled and died before me, not just in my own African tradition, but the ones who are the great cloud of witnesses that have gone before me. And so I need to say that because it is important for us to hold on to who we are and to hold on to the communities that continue to lift us and that continue to press us forward. And so I hold on to my community. And so I show up in the world as a Black woman. I show up in the world as a woman of faith. I show up in the world as one who is committed to the work of peace with justice. I am the one who shows up in the world committed to hold the hands of my sisters and brothers and siblings across the globe so that we can build the things that make for peace. And so there is a text in the book of John that talks about this good shepherd. There is a good shepherd that is spoken about also in the Hebrew scriptures. This good shepherd that we see that is spoken about in the Psalm. And for those of you who know this, and I'm sure many of you do, know this Psalm that that is very familiar to many. And it talks about this good shepherd. The Psalm says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And it goes on to talk about how God makes me to lie down in green pastures. It goes on and it talks about, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for God is with me. It is a reminder that mercy and grace and goodness go before me. But the text that I want to lift up is a text that is in John that reflects it. It is the voice of Jesus who is speaking and echoing that there's a good shepherd that is coming to make sure that the wolf that comes to steal the sheep will not catch us. And what I want to make sure that you hear is that in this particular text, it says that Jesus is saying, just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, I lay down my life for the sheep. And it goes on to say that I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also. They will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock and one shepherd. And here I must believe that Jesus is speaking about all of the traditions that not necessarily are the ones that belong to that one fold. This Christianity, which did not exist just then because he was still there with them, but that exists now after he laid down his life. But there are more sheep that belong to this fold. This is God's flock who sees us all within our respected faith traditions. And I want to remind us that when we lay down our life for the cause of justice, for the cause of peace, for the cause of harmony, that there is a shepherd that will continue to guide us, continue to hold us, so that let us now know that there is power within the one flock. There is power within us coming together as we have, but not just to talk, but for us to be committed to call for action within our respective communities, and that we can know that as we continue moving together, that great good shepherd watches over all of us in our respective traditions, holds us up, and will light fire unto our feet so that we can see the work of peace manifests in the earth as we know that it is beyond the heavens. And so I say to us, may we continue to do this work together. May we continue to listen to one another with respect, with honor, with traditions, as the ancestors continue to press us forward, the great cloud of witnesses that is on, cheering us on, and the good shepherd that will continue to keep us all within the fold, moving as one. Ashe and amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. I appreciate your valuable time staying with us, giving us an opening address and inaugurate this wonderful summit. I always want a female clergy leader to inaugurate some of my events, partnership, especially partnership events. Mothers are the number one for each of us. We respect every female around the world, love them, care about them. That's the Indian tradition meant for. Here, we are opening up for the entire world to bring a global family, to sustain, help each other, share, care. We are ready to work with you. We are not just talking, we are activists. Thank you, Chaplain. Is Audrey Kitagawa is here, or? Let me see. Audrey Kitagawa. I think she had internet problem. Okay, in that case, we'll go with music. Maika.
Okay, thank you so much, Guruji, and namaste, and greetings to all of you, and greetings to people who are watching this program on Facebook. Thank you so much, and congratulations on the first session of the Global Interfaith Summit. And we thank Guruji, World Yoga Community, Professor Pillai, and Ashram, Santhigiri Ashram, and all the partners for this beautiful program today. And thank you so much for the kind invitation for us. We are so appreciated to be part of it here. And I'm Maika. I'm a friend member of Inamori Art Project Group in Tokyo. We are a volunteer art group delivering our message of love and peace through our music, dance, drama, Japanese taiko drums, and paintings. And today, we'd like to present our song, Love and Peace. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Let's get over our differences of colors and nations. Why can't we be like children, smiling hand in hand? But we're born with a promise again and again. We do love each other and be aware of the truth. We are brothers and sisters. God's forcing all in tears, waiting for us to awaken. Love and peace. Yes, we are love child. Yes, we are love child. Earth family. Singing love and peace. It's waiting for children. Now it's time to stop for us this foolish fight. Handing us down, picking up for us instead. No swords but love falling down from the sky. After us we've committed to protect each other. Somebody tell me, where did we come? Where did we go? Where did we go to? On the north of spaceship Earth. We are one, together one big family. God's beloved family, no more killing. I'm serving my God. Yes, we are love child, Earth family, love and peace.
He's waiting for children.
L-O-V-E, P-E-A-C-E. We need peace. L-O-V-E, P-E-A-C-E. We need peace.
Love will make your flower grow. Love is someone that you know. Love is bringing turning in space, and around we go. I need to believe in love. Do you believe in love? I believe in love. Love and peace. Love
We need
and peace. Oh, we need it now.
Yes, we are love child now. Singing love
Love
and peace.
oh, can it be calling?
Waiting for us to awaken.
God is waiting. Yes, he's waiting. Oh, he's waiting. Yeah,
Yes, we are love child, Earth family.
we are one and family. That's what we are.
Waiting for us to awaken.
He's
Love
God
and
is
peace.
waiting for children in
Yes, we
tears.
are love child, Earth family.
Wake up, wake up,
Peace.
wake up.
God's waiting for children in tears. L-O-V-E.
Maika and our beautiful music. I always enjoy your video clipping. I
Thank you so much,
appreciate your
Guruji.
support. Right. I want to introduce one of our spiritual leader, I'll say for entire world. That is Reverend Audrey Kitagawa, JD. She's the president and founder of the International Academy for Transcultural Cooperation and NGO representative of the URI at the United Nations. She was a former chair of the Parliament of World Religions. She is a recipient of a Spirit of the UN Award and many more. She served tirelessly in any time I can communicate with her, and she's a mentor for me. I want to like to invite Reverend Audrey Kitagawa.
My deepest appreciation to you, Guru Dilip Ji, for this invitation to be part of this global interfaith summit with so many eminent presenters from different faith traditions coming together in a wonderful paradigm of cooperative engagement where we can share our hearts and ourselves with each other respectfully and peacefully, even while we may each be steeped in our own respective faith traditions. I want to share this ancient Hindu hymn which says, as the different streams, having their sources in different places, all mingle their water in the sea. So, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. This beautiful hymn expresses all of the different pathways which we may take to return to that divine source from which we all arose and to which we shall all return, and expresses the oneness that is the underlying reality that exists beyond the seeming external individuation of appearances, whether of gender, race, religion, or degrees of wealth and poverty. And I'd like to share with you about interfaith, which in its most basic sense is when people or groups from different religious, spiritual, and faith tradition worldviews come together. The interfaith movement has grown exponentially over the years because people inherently feel that religious communities must themselves reflect this aspect of coming together, of cooperation with each other, that we may model the peaceful world that we wish to see. Famous theologian, ethicist, and author Hans Kuhn, who recently passed away, may God rest his soul, said, there can be no peace among nations without peace among religions, no peace among the religions without dialogue among the religions, no dialogue among religions without basic research in religions. It is not a matter of conversion, but of respect for each other's religious and faith traditions, and being able to see the beauty in the diversity that exists in the world. It is ultimately being willing to learn about each other and the different faith traditions which we represent in order to divest ourselves of ignorance about each other. The less we know about each other's faith and religious traditions, the greater our misconceptions about each other that can more easily give rise to hostility and fear. And it's not only getting to know each other better in our faith traditions, but as human beings. As we now have 7.5 billion people that inhabit the earth, we are faced with increasing complexities in an increasingly divided and polarized world. And as the needs of people come into conflict over limited resources extracted from the finite resource of the earth, we are all compelled to think more deeply about the polarizations and divisions which seem to have accelerated through highly politicized processes, especially within the past 4 years. And it is important that all people, and in particular our leaders, take seriously the impact that our thoughts, our words, and our actions have upon ourselves as individuals, our families, our communities, countries, and ultimately the world. We should ensure that the leaders that we choose, whether in government positions, businesses, education, or faith communities and institutions, have a proper spiritual foundation grounded in good values, ethics, and have a commitment to peace and the promulgation of goodwill and love for others. In our diverse world, learning and connecting with those of different religious and spiritual traditions help us to strengthen community in a positive way. We have seen recently that many people are discriminated against and even attacked due to misunderstandings, ignorance, and hostility based on their religious, racial, ethnic, or national differences. Interfaith cooperation helps us to alleviate these negative forms of interaction and can deepen people's own understanding of their faith and values when they create actions that join with other people of other faiths to reach mutual solutions to benefit community as a whole. Life is full of learning and growing experiences about each other and ourselves. We need each other and our interactions with each other to help us to understand that many facets of life really bring us together, and no one person can know everything about these many facets. But together, drawing on our collective experiences, knowledge, and wisdom, we can create wholesome communities where we understand that through being together, sharing with each other, and learning more about each other, we can grow in greater appreciation and respect for each other. In this globalized world, many find our insularities eroding and are experiencing new interactions in ways that are unprecedented. And though the current pandemic has kept us in prolonged states of isolation on the one hand, with current technologies, we have learned how to remain in touch with each other and still promote our gatherings and being together in peaceful ways, albeit virtually, just as we're doing this morning. And this is the creativity that exists within all of us collectively to overcome seeming adversity if we all learn to work together. We are inherently social beings, and as such, we long to be in community and engage with each other. Demographic changes have brought new neighbors to cities and towns here in the US and all around the world. And in the last quarter century, the number of people from other countries has grown. Today, for example, in the US, there are now mosques, temples, shrines, and diverse places of worship in previously unexpected places throughout the country. There is an expanding number of centers for the community life of Hindus, Buddhists, and others who were less frequently encountered in the past. In this pluralistic world in which we live, everyday life provides numerous encounters with people of different faiths. More and more, we see interfaith marriages, personal friendships with persons from different faiths, public prayers, religious festivals, and gatherings such as this Interfaith Summit. Yes, we should seek to build loving relationships with people of other faiths and religious traditions and work in solidarity with them in struggles for justice, freedom, peace, and human dignity. As we continue to interact with and learn from diverse cultures across the globe, let us rejoice in the opportunities provided for the divine hand that touches us, that prepares us to live and be that expression of the implicit message of love. God invites us to walk with Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, and followers of other religions to befriend all and offer love without qualification, that we may be free from fears and animosities that set us apart in our ignorance about those that appear different from us. And may we walk in the ways of humility and trust in that divine source that is ever guiding us. And I want to share with you now this interfaith prayer written by Dr. John Heidel. And it says, we pause in quiet reflection to offer this prayer for a peaceful world. In our individual and personal ways, we call upon the Holy One who sustains our lives and who inspires us to live with compassion and kindness and peace. We ask for daily guidance in all of our personal relationships, in our work and play, in our community involvement, that we might model the possibilities of peace in everything we say and in everything we do. We pray for wisdom and compassion within the hearts and minds of all world leaders who have the power and the responsibility of making decisions that impact the presence of peace. We pray for courage, dedication, and integrity within the spirits of all those who work for peace around the world. And we pray for all those who harbor thoughts and feelings of hatred, violence, and greed, that their hearts and minds and souls will be transformed into the likeness of compassion and kindness. We are thankful for your presence in our lives and ask for your blessing as we try to live peaceful lives and seek ways for all people to live in harmony and peace and with each other. Amen, amen, and amen. And we must know that our survivability depends on our ability to live together in peace. Then in all ways that we can find peace through our respective traditions, may we dive deeply and sincerely into its sacred teachings, knowing that we will eventually meet together in the one great spirit that breathed life into us, that we may unfold the story of our great journey, that will reveal that we ultimately discovered and lived together in peace and love for each other. So thank you so much again, Guru Dilip Ji, for this privilege and opportunity to share this morning. Infinite blessings to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kitagawa. You are a mentor for all of us at the UA. You are a blessing for us, actually. I always watch how you present the points you bring from different parts of the philosophies. You know, this is a thing we had to learn from elders. We young people should learn from elders and teach to the new generation. Here is the mentor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your great support. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I would like to invite Professor S.R. Bhatt to make a keynoting. And Professor S.R. Bhatt is the chairman of Indian Philosophy Congress. And he is also the chairman of Asian African Philosophy Congress. And he was the former chairman of Indian Council of Philosophical Research. And he has received several awards for his contribution, for his seminal contribution to promote Indian culture and spirituality and philosophy. And he's the most revered philosopher among Indian scholars. And let me invite Professor S.R. Bhatt to make his presentation. Thank you. Professor S.R. Bhatt.
Thank you, Professor Gopinath ji. My respect to Guru Dilip ji and to all distinguished erudite faith leaders and scholars. It is really a privilege to partake in this needful and useful deliberation for Global Interfaith Summit. Friends, peace and happiness have been the coveted ideals of humankind. Everyone wants peace and bliss. This is the summum bonum of human existence. But we find painfully that our existential scenario is not very much conducive to realization of peace, happiness, and prosperity. So, human being is competent enough to realize these ideals and strives his or her best to do so. But there are many impediments because of the finitude, because of the imperfection, and because of the fragile empirical existence of humankind. And therefore, it makes us ponder as to how we can meet with these elements of suffering and crisis. At present, we are in the midst of a very dreadful disease, the corona, and with the first wave, we thought that it will soon be eradicated. But now it has come back as the second wave, which is much more dangerous than we expected. And when will it come to an end? It's a matter of guess only. But then we have to work for that. We cannot be pessimistic. We cannot be idle. We have to be active and proactive. And in this respect, religion also has some significant role to play. Religion has been one of the finest manifestations of human consciousness for bringing about solace and succor to mankind. We find that religion has been brought in to bring about love, friendship, fellowship, cooperation, and all virtues which are needed for enhancement of human life. But we find that to some extent, religion has played the evoted role, but we also find that there has been misuse of religiosity. And this has resulted in, say, some sort of deviation, dereliction, and devastation in the form of global warfare, global violence, and all sorts of terrible, draconian, say, sufferings. And therefore, we have therefore to see as to how the role of religion in the service of humanity to bring about peace and prosperity is restored and brought back. This is the responsibility of religious leaders, as also those who are knowledgeable in terms of the role of religion for human emancipation from all these sufferings and calamities. We find that there are people who try to misuse religion for their narrow, selfish end. And therefore, it is our responsibility and our duty to not only educate them about true value of religion, but also make them transform their mode of thinking and their way of living. Well, this is the objective of such summits. We find that in the world there is a plurality of religions. Religions are many, but capital is one only. The inner essence of religion is a spirituality, and that spirituality means love, friendship, fellowship, cooperation, mutual cooperation, and mutual caring and sharing. So we are all can say sons and daughters of the same God or divinity, and we are all divine sparks. So we have to realize and cultivate that sort of divinity in us, and that is possible only if we concentrate on the core of religion. Religion has two aspects. One is the core and other is the peripheral. The peripheral one is institutionalized one, and it has resulted into different sects and cults. That has not been the very essence or core of religion. So we have to highlight and emphasize the core of religion in terms of universal oneness, fundamental unity of all existences. Of course, there are differences, but underlying those differences, there is an essential unity. Unity and multiplicity go together. they need to be synthesized, and in the midst of multiplicity, unity has to be found out and emphasized. And therefore, this Interfaith Summit aims at pointing out, highlighting that inner unity among all different religions. All different religions are different pathways to the same goal, and the goal is realization of a peace and bliss, happiness and prosperity. That should be the uh, enterprise and endeavor of all religious leaders, so that the mankind, some of the human beings have been misguided by the say votaries of different sects. They are brought back to enlightenment. To bring about this sort of enlightenment is one of the responsibilities of religious leaders and scholars, knowledgeable ones. And we should therefore have, because you see, human nature is sometimes prone to what can be called as perversion. And therefore, there is a constant need for such a interfaith summit, so that the humankind can be reminded of the essential unity, the divinity which is inherent in all human beings. And therefore, instead of leading a devilish life, which sometimes we do, we should have a divine life. So divinization of our existence, both our mode of thinking and our way of living are needed. And for this, religion, along with other institutions, have significant role to play. All religions stand for peace and prosperity, happiness, solace, and succor. No religion teaches hatred or violence. But the sectarians, who sometimes are misguided, they turn to conflicts and strifes in the name of religion. But they are not religious conflicts. They are sectarian conflicts. They are communal conflicts. In the name of religion, they are doing it. But in fact, they are ignorant of the real essence of religion. And therefore, what is needed, sometimes we do have religious studies, but they more often lead to this sort of bigotism. So what is needed is not religious studies, but studies about religion. We must be exposed to fundamentals of all religions. So it is a study about religion. We may call it as a comparative religion, or philosophy of religion, or whatever name you may assign to it. This is what is needed, that we must know each and every. So, unfortunately, we do not know the inner essence of our own religion. We are only familiar with the outer aspect of religion, the rites and rituals which are exterior, which are not the core and essence of religion. So we indulge in all sorts of such practices which are guided by mythologies or some fake stories and so forth. And very often ignorant masses are exposed to that only. What is needed is that they must be told about the inner essence of all religion, and they will realize then that there is fundamental unity. There are no differences. Religion has to unite. It's only the sects which divide. So we have to be above the sects, above the sectarian considerations, and be exposed to religiosity, which is nothing but spirituality. The religiosity should not be understood in terms of dogmatism or fundamentalism, but in terms of essential unity. And therefore, we have to expose particularly the younger generation, through proper education about religions and not religious education. We find that we have a multiplicity of religions. Multiplicity has to stay. We can't do away with the plurality of religions. But then this multiplicity should be a boon rather than a bane. This multiplicity provides a richness to religiosity, and therefore we have to value, we have to appreciate, we have to have due respect to all religions, because all religions in their genuine form lead to the same goal, as has been pointed out, that we have water flowing in different religions, but all that merges back in the one sea, or you can have different paths leading to the peak of a mountain. The peak is one and the same, but paths might be different. Some might be easy, some might be tedious and hard, but they lead to the same goal. So this sort of fundamental unity of all human enterprises. And in fact, these are not a single individual effort. For this, what is needed is a collective enterprise, a cooperative endeavor, because the cosmos is not an individual center. And it has already been pointed out that there is mutual interdependence. There is a interdependence, universal interdependence. And in Buddhism, we have the doctrine of Pratitya Samutpada, which stands for existential interdependence. No one is a Robinson Crusoe. No one leads an isolated life. There is a life in cooperation. Sociality is built in us. And this sort of sociality is not only among the human beings. We should have this sort of feeling towards all living beings and nature in general. We in India respect nature. We call it as Mother Nature. And within this sort of attitude, we talk of Mother Earth, Mother Air, Mother Water, Mother Fire. Everything we divinize. Everything is, in fact, some sublime, and therefore we have to pay respect to all. So, unfortunately, we try to subdue nature, subordinate nature, we try to exploit nature, and all these elements that we are suffering. Corona, for example, is because of exploitation of Mother Nature. And therefore, we must have a life which is environmental friendly. And this environment in Indian culture is not just external, but also internal. Our mind must be pure. If our mind is pure, our action also will be pure. Our conduct also will be pure. So both the internal environment and the external environment. And internal one is the basic one. And that's why in Yajurveda we have some verses. Tanme manah shubha sankalpamastu. Let my mind be of pure will and pure determination. So if mind is pure, our conduct also will be pure. So this is what is needed. And we have to therefore realize that in this world, there has to be a life of organic unity. Organic unity, just as in an organism, you have perfect coordination among different organs and there is harmony. But if there is any disorder, then the entire organism suffers from that. Likewise, the cosmos also is an organic unity. And within the cosmos, different religions also have to display that sort of organic unity. So different religions are to be approached with respect, with reverence, and with a sense of assimilation if needed, give and take. In Indian culture, we have a Jain tradition. In Jain tradition, we have the theories of Anekantavada and Syadvada, and they point out that the religion and the existence, the reality is multiple, manifold, and it has many aspects, many sides, and therefore we may, because of our finite nature, apprehend one part of reality, someone else may apprehend another part of reality, and therefore there has to be mutual give and take to comprehend the totality of reality. And therefore, I would suggest that in case of religions also, all religions have something true, good, and beautiful. And therefore, we must try to understand and appreciate different religions. And this can be done only through, as I said earlier, proper type of education about interdependence, education about peaceful coexistence, peaceful coexistence to be supported by cooperative enterprises. And these cooperative enterprises result in some fruits, and those fruits should be enjoyed with mutual caring and sharing. Well, it is a sacrifice. We must enjoy the fruits of our labor, our enterprise, first by serving others, and then taking it for our own self. First, we have to begin in Isavarshopanishad, one of the Upanishads, it is said, Tyaktena Bhunjita, first Tyaga and then Bhoga. So first you have to sacrifice to others, to serve others, to help others, to love others, and then the residual we have to enjoy ourselves. Not that first we have become selfish or usurp the fruits of the global enterprise. And therefore, I would very much like two things. Let the religious leaders and knowledgeable people guide the humanity about the true nature of religion, which consists in mutual understanding, mutual respect, mutual support. In Sanskrit, we have a term called sadbhava. There cannot be samabhava, but there has to be sadbhava. A Hindu should be a good Hindu, a Christian should be a good Christian, a follower of a particular religion should be a good follower of that particular religion. And if that is the case, then there will be always a mutuality, reciprocity, and there will never be any scope for any disagreement or any conflict or any strife. And therefore, this is one of the tasks of this global interfaith summit. And the other one is to enlist, invoke cooperative enterprises so that we work globally. In fact, most of our problems are global problems, and they cannot be solved in isolation by one country or by one particular race. And therefore, we should have a sort of universal, global, cooperative living. In Indian culture, we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world should be treated as a family, and therefore, in a family, there is a perfect coordination, there is perfect harmony, there is a smooth mutual give and take, and if that can be inculcated in the entire humankind, particularly among the youth, then definitely the purpose of such summits would be realized, will be fruitful. And I think, as I said earlier, this needs constant repetition. One single summit will not be sufficient. We must have such summits in different parts of the world, and these should be not just merely oral speeches, but they should be concretized in the form of action. There should be a concrete plan of action as to how we can bring about this sort of commonness, this sort of universality, how we can transcend from I to we, not I and thou. Generally, we talk in terms of I and thou, as if there is some sort of competition between I and thou, some sort of separation between I and thou. Instead, we should say I and we. And when we say I and we, that means we universalize the self, make it a global self. And if you make it a global self, then the individual is not annihilated. The individual is accommodated in the global. So this sort of mutual understanding and mutual cooperative existence, I think should be the aim of such interfaith summits, so that humankind is properly enlightened and put to the proper path, proper there is derailment, in fact, in our mode of living and mode of thinking also. So we are brought back to the right path. We use the term samyak. Samyak means rightful. A rightful is natural. A samyak is deviation. It is harmful. And therefore, let us cultivate that attitude of rightness, samyakatva. And I hope that such summits Pujya Guruji will be organizing in different parts of the world, in every country. Let it be a sort of a planned effort, wherein from one country to we go to another country, and then the third one, and like that. A systematic planning needs to be done. We have in India also very eminent scholars. For example, we have Muni Shri Param Pujya Chidananji Maharaj, and he is being supported by Pujya Sadhiji also. So, and many such leaders are there. We have to invoke their energy, brought them together on a common platform. We have to make these spiritual leaders come on a common platform and make them aware of their social responsibility. And this social responsibility is to bring about social solidarity, social some cooperation. And if that can be done, then definitely a religion can be of great service to humankind. It has been invoked for human wellness. It has not been able to do so quite often, but let us see that we have a religion in its proper functioning for the wellness of the entire humankind, and not only humankind, I would say the entire cosmos. The cosmos is an ongoing process, and in this there should not be any deviation. There should not be any such thing which is in the form of restriction leading to pain and suffering. Thank you very much. And
Okay, Professor sir, but as a philosopher, you have outlined the fundamental precepts needed, fundamental efforts needed to revitalize the efforts of religious and faith leaders in addressing the burning issues that humanity faces. You have rightly pointed out that we need study about religion, not religious studies alone. And the two suggestions you put forwarded to pursue this dialogue and this effort in different parts of the world. I hope Guru Dilip Ji also will take seriously this suggestion, and we are thankful to Professor S.R. Bhatt for your illuminating presentation. Thank you. May I invite Swami Navadanma Jnana Tapasvi to make his presentation. And Swami Navadanma Jnana Tapasvi is the Joint Secretary of Santhigiri Ashram and one of the directors. He is a blessed sannyasi who reached ashram at his prime age and who has sacrificed his life in the service of humanity. And let me invite Swami Navadanma Jnana Tapasvi to make his presentation.
Guru Dilip Ji, respected Swamis and Swaminis, dear guests, elegant speakers, and those who are hearing me, namaste all of you. First of all, I would like to illuminate my gratitude to Guruji and Professor Dr. K. Gopinatha Pillai, the organizers. It is one of the happiest moments in my life as we people staying in different parts of the world got an opportunity to meet together and share a few words for a good cause to bring love, faith, peace, and harmony among us. Here I would like to share a few thoughts being the part of the spiritual teachings of my Guru, Navajyoti Sri Karunagara Guru, the founder Guru of Santhigiri Ashram. It is the part of the noble thought of our country, Bharatam. The harmony of instinct and behavior that exists in everything in this world is one of the wonders of creation. The diversity in creation is the greatest beauty of the nature and the world. Our ancestors experienced and enjoyed this diversity in different ways in various levels. They gradually started to learn about this and analyzed its depth and vastness. Ultimately, they found that this is the law of nature and the will of Supreme. This is a secret of evolution. This is the law of nature and the process of evolution, which are correlated together or binded together. The evolved soul born in different part of the world at different time taught humanity the noble lessons. The truth that they taught exists forever is called Sanatana Dharma, the knowledge which exists forever. It is the science of life to be practiced as the way of life by everybody, irrespective of discriminations and religion. Bharatam, the great land blessed by the birth of many saints and seers, had a perfect vision regarding this as the way of life. Arsha Bharatam, Sanatana Dharmam, etc. are some of the terms which are familiar even today, being the memory of our great tradition. What we witness in this world in different forms, names, and qualities are the rhythmic organization of the genius according to the supreme will. All these are the energy or spirit or soul manifested in its respective forms. Everything in this world is necessary to remain peaceful. Nobody can challenge the right of existence and interrupt the freedom to evolve. Then only the sustainable and peaceful existence will be possible. The effort with which the evolution of the spirit is possible is called ashram. It is not an institution actually. It is universal phenomenon to be learned from the spiritually evolved Guru. When we think about spiritual evolution, don't think that it is something related to human soul only. It is the science related to the evolution of energy from its very micro atomic status to the macro omnipotent state. Anu to Agandam is the word mentioned in the spiritual philosophy of our country. It is the wonderful experiential science to be received from the Guru and practiced each and every moment throughout the life. Evolution up to human level is one phase where spirit evolved through forms. When it attained human level, further evolution up to the level of Deva is going on through karma based on dharma. Here, the form is not subject to change, but the nature is being changed. When the soul liberates from all karma and dharma, it attains the plane of Rishi. That is Rishi Mandalam, which is otherwise known as Deva Sannidhanam, the plane of God, where the form disappears and exists only the prakasham. That means light. The state of Rishi means Guru. Starts from here is called Deva Sannidhanam, the plane of God. This is why you can see Murtis in temple and Guru in ashram. There are different categories of Guru. One Guru is the authority to guide us through the way of dharma. And the other type of Guru belongs to that authenticity. Such Guru guides us through dharma and guide us to do the karma also. The third category of Guru is a Guru prompt to do karma and dharma and receive the result of that karma that has been done by the disciple. And the final category of Guru, the ultimate Guru, is such a Guru who guides us, prompt to do karma according to dharma, and receive the residue of karma irrespective of its nature and provide salvation, provide mukti. Such a spiritual science, irrespective of religion, language, country, and color, and other discriminations, should be properly addressed. This is the meaning of ashram actually. This should be a universal phenomenon of teaching spirituality, from where one can learn the science of life either as a grihasthashrami or a sannyasi is the platform of ashram. This is why, this is the way to ultimate liberation guided by rishis and gurus in Arsha Bharatam. The spiritual awareness being the science of existence and evolution to be spread as a new slogan of the post-COVID era. The right to exist and the freedom to evolve are the both sides of the pathway to peace. Let spirituality and religion are the footsteps to go ahead through this pathway of light and peace to attain the ultimate liberation. I would like to pray in this auspicious moment that let this be an elegant step to evolve a new world order. Thank you all for listening me. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Swami, thank you, Swamiji. And Swamiji has very intuitively brought about how the learning of spiritual science is more important to transcend all inequalities or discriminative mindset and biases. Because therefore, religion should focus in imparting true spiritual science, which lies beyond religions, which India's wisdom tradition or Rishi tradition used to do in all epochs. So thank you, Swamiji, for your brilliant presentation. Thank you. Let me invite Professor R.C. Sinha. Professor R.C. Sinha is the chairman of Indian Council of Philosophical Research. and he's a very known philosopher, and he has done considerable work in the area of continental philosophy. And under his leadership, ICPR has been promoting the dissemination of philosophy, and they are striving to reach philosophy to common man is very applaudable. And I invite Professor R.C. Sinha to make his presentation. Thank you.
First of all, I must offer my namaskar to each and everyone. Good morning and good evening. I'm very thankful to Professor Gopinath Pillai and Guruji that you have organized such an excellent interfaith summit. Certainly, I'm not a faith leader. We have heard very good things I have learned in this summit. The great faith leaders, they serve humanity, and certainly respect to each and every religion. That is the great message of the summit. So love for others, respect for others, that is a great message of the global summit. Certainly, being a student of philosophy, I will like to begin with the question. Why this summit? Why this summit is important? Certainly, the present scenario, global scenario, is full with contradictions, conflicts, and clashes. So, in order to get rid of classes, we have to develop interfaith study. And rightly, I remember some of the names, and my predecessor, Professor S.R. Bhatt, who pointed out that there is a need for a study of about religions, a study of comparative religion. So being a student of philosophy, I will certainly streamline the philosophical aspects of this summit. So if one is true to his faith, certainly there will be respect for others. If one is a good Hindu, then he can be a good human being. He will respect the others. The other is very important. So other can be understood in relation to our own religion. The other religion can be understood well if we are true to our own religion. So that is the message, that is the spirit of this summit, and I really thank very much, and I thank those who conceived this. And rightly, it has been suggested by Professor Bhatt that there is a need of a study of the comparative religion, because we cannot isolate students and the teachers of the university. And we find that this comparative religion is certainly seems to be a new dash in the 20th century. But if we go to the history, we find that Max Muller, he in 1856, he wrote about the comparative mythology. So a study of comparative religion has been stipulated as a study of mythologies of the different religions. But Professor James, E.O. James, he has written a very good book on comparative religion, and he stipulated about he stipulated that comparative mythologies may not be sufficient for a study of the comparative religion or the different faiths. So he talked about social anthropology. But the great philosopher of religion, Professor R.C. Zener of the Oxford University, who was occupying the chair of the Spalding Professor of Eastern Religion and Ethics. This chair was established by Professor Spalding, and the great President of India, Professor Radhakrishnan, he occupied that chair. And in India, in true sense of the term, Professor Radhakrishnan was an academician. So apart from the faith leaders, I'm talking about those who are philosophers. So Radhakrishnan occupied that chair, graced that chair. And then Professor R.C. Zener, who visited India, and perchance I had an opportunity to meet him in BHU in the year 1969 when he visited the Department of Indian Philosophy and Religion under Indology College. So my submission is that if we develop it as an academic enterprise, because religion different, if we do not understand the other religions, so how we can afford to serve the humanity? We cannot think about order. The order is necessary, and this unity in diversity, which is the core philosophical concept of India, unity in diversity, we respect pluralism. So this unity in diversity creates order. And if there is an order, there is a beauty. If there is an order, we can live in peace. So unity in diversity, which creates order, that is very, very important. So now I will speak something about if we develop it as an academic discipline, the study of the other faiths, the study of the religions, if we develop it, then as an academic discipline, we need a methodology. What will be the methodology of teaching or reading different faiths? My submission is that the one methodology which Indians, the ancient rishis and seers of India, they adopted. That is a hermeneutical methodology in India. In Hindi, we call it Bhashya Vigyan Vidhi. The methodology, the hermeneutical methodology attempts to interpret our scriptures. So there is a need to interpret or understand and read the different scriptures of the different religions. If we read Vedas, then also we have to read the Bible. We have to read the Quran. Then only we can develop the proper understanding. Otherwise, we will be close to our religion. And naturally, Sri Aurobindo, in his book, The Human Cycle, made a distinction between religion and religionism. So religionism is not appreciated. And Professor Bhatt has very rightly pointed out that religionism causes sectarianism. And in interfaith dialogue or in interfaith summit, religionism cannot be supported. So naturally, the proper understanding of religion is essential. So the methodology is hermeneutical, interpreting the scriptures. That methodology we can, if we just see the scenario in the world scenario, we find that different in very many universities. We find that the comparative religion as an academic discipline has been introduced. An interfaith study, for instance, in Harvard University, there is a School of Divinity in which in the School of Divinity, this is comparative religion is being taught. The different faiths, the essential and the core and the scriptures of the different religions, they are being taught in the School of Divinity, and that is in India also. We don't have that developed discipline of reading different faiths, but in some of the universities we have Department of Comparative Religion. Now in Banaras and Santiniketan, the Department of Philosophy has been changed, and the name has been Philosophy and Religion. The department has been named as Philosophy and Religion. That shows the trend in not in each and every in India. This study of different faiths as an academic discipline, this has not been encouraged. So rightly, there is a need, but certainly if a student of philosophy will be analytic one, he will be interpreting the scriptures in analytic way, and there is a necessity to develop the analytic hermeneutical methodology to study the different faiths. We cannot, without a philosopher, a philosopher is required to intervene when there is a dogmatism or when there is a religionism. So naturally, the faith leaders and philosophers should combine together, and certainly they can make the world peaceful, because Recently, I was rereading rather, a book written by Samuel Huntington. And the title is The Clash of Civilizations. And under civilization, he has put religion an essential component. So there is and I also agree with Professor Bhatt that there is a need for such type of summits all over the world. So naturally, with these words, I uh, I thank the organizers. I thank the eminent speakers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor R.C. Sinha. So you have made very valid and important propositions. And you have endorsed Professor Bhatt's suggestion that we should switch to study about religion rather than along with the religious studies to understand other religions, because which is essential to foster interfaith solidarity and unity. And you have rightly also pointed out the methodology, the need of methodology in studying these religions. And we are thankful to you for making such very important propositions. Thank you, Professor R.C. Sinha.
I want to add you something. We have a seminary, All Faith Seminary in New York. Definitely we can partner and do a lot of things. I am from an interfaith family. My father was an Orthodox Christian. Mother is from a Hindu family. I belong to everybody. I believe Prema Ishwar hai, Ishwar Prema hai, God is love, love is the God. I believe in that philosophy. We may have different opinions, different teachings, different culture, but in the universe, we all are divine and chosen being. We are here to love and care. So this summit, purpose of the summit is to bring everyone together, create a new world order through love and harmony and the selfless service. I commit 100% for that. I'm doing that. Whenever you need, I am here. So I like to invite our musician, our singer, and actress, Michelle Delafay. She is with us long time. And Michelle, floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji. I'm honored to be here. I'm going to sing an old hymn I'm sure you're all familiar with. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. A precious deed that grace appeared the hour I first believed. snares I have already gone. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. And we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Wow, 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 wow. You brought the spirit, Michelle. Oh, that was beautiful. This is the best song.
Thank
I
you.
always love it.
Thank you, thank you.
I know you have other beautiful song. Just please take a rest. Great.
I am blessed all the time listening to these wonderful speakers. Thank you. And I'm always here to serve the souls of humanity.
I'd like to invite one of our speakers, that is Ms. Haneen Khalid, the policy and research professional in international security and global threats, Obama Foundation scholar, and she's from Pakistan, and she's always in New York. And before inviting her, I want to give a request to all the speakers. Please keep your time 5 to 7 minutes. If you have a paper presentation, go for 7 to 10 minutes. That way we can finish on time. I know it will be little late, but still, please try your best. Haneen, let me see, where is she? Okay, that is good. Please proceed. Floor is for you.
Thank you, Dilip Ji. I hope I'm audible to everyone on the call.
Yes.
Thank you. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you, Dilip Ji, the organizers and partners, for this important convening right after the occasion of Earth Day. Thank you all for your beautiful words and music and the great inspiration that has been shared in the circle that we've formed here today in this very short time that we've been together. I'm honored to be here and to have an opportunity to share my voice with you all. And thank you for having me. I'm a youth activist by training and a policy professional in climate and nuclear disarmament work. I've been asked today to speak on climate change and spirituality, and I'll do my best to briefly say a few words about this very important topic that's very close to my heart. I've been very inspired by some of the words that have been said by some of the distinguished speakers who have joined us here today. And I want to take us back to the beginning a little bit, where the Reverend opened this convening by talking about praying with our feet. And it reminded me of Thich Nhat Hanh's beautiful phrase where he talks about kissing the earth with our feet. And that brought me to thinking about loving the earth. As a policy professional myself, so often we're in these huge international debates about, what the politics of something is, what the economics of something is. what the costs are, what the benefits are, all of this analysis. And I think what I want to briefly talk about a little bit is just the very simple essence that I think all of the beautiful religions that are represented here today talk about, and what all of you have been saying in different words, and that is about loving the earth and loving each other. And opting to choose our actions from that place of connectedness with each other and with the earth, sort of dropping down into the heart, dropping down into the feet. And that is a little, I guess, meditation or a little practice that, we are able to come back to in each moment, that we're able to do in our own way, no matter where we are, and make that as something that can be a part of our lives. And as I was thinking about the earth, and as I was thinking about, a lot of the dialogue and conversation that's been happening around Earth Day this week, a lot of great events have been organized by different people who care just like we do about what's happening and about climate change, and who want to talk about, the essence of the spiritual essence that we can bring to our work in this time and in this opportunity that has been given to us. I remembered, I was thinking about the earth, and I remembered what a great equalizer she is, how she reminds us of our shared home. No matter where we are in the world, we are connected to her. And our shared vulnerability, as we see through the effects of the pandemic, through the upcoming effects, the impending effects of climate change, nuclear issues, which is what I find myself immersed in a lot of my time, and also our shared destiny, that the choices that we make today and the choices that we make for and with each other are writing a future that we will share, and then our children will share, and that the future generations will share, not just human species, but of the ecosystems that we are a part of. We're so closely intertwined with the destiny of the earth. And that got me thinking about how we have a responsibility towards her, towards each other, and towards this shared future that we are hoping to build together, no matter where we are, whether we are religious leaders, faith leaders, interfaith experts, policy experts, youth, no matter our way of being of service. We carry this shared responsibility, and we have our own way of showing up to contribute in this time. And as I was doing this reading, and as I was participating in these conversations, and as I was listening, it seemed that we are living in a time of transition. And what really matters is how we show up in this time, and whether we turn towards each other, and how we include the earth and our love for the earth in the future that we create together through the actions that we choose today. I came across a prophecy by the Hopi elders that was from the year 2000. And just to clarify, that this is one of the tribes of Native Americans who are referred to by other tribes as the oldest of people. And I invite you to listen with me as I share a quote from this prophecy, if I may. And with that, I'll bring my presentation to a close. But this is a beautiful quote, and it brought a note of hope as I was reading it, and a note of what we can do and how we can participate in our personal lives and in our community lives and in our ways of being of service. So I invite you to listen with me. This could be a good time. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. No, the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, off into the middle of the river, our eyes open and our heads above the water. And I say, see who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. So thank you for this opportunity to share time and space together and the blessings of this gathering with each one of you. I wish you the best in your efforts and leadership and service of your communities with our brothers and sisters around the world. May we learn to love the earth and each other and lift each other up to the light of a new age on this beautiful planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Hani and Miss Hani and Khalid, to listen to your wisdom. And I'm glad Reverend Audrey introduced you to us. You know, we created another group of people to bring everyone together. I know you are one of the leaders for the future. We are already a leader, but future you can do a lot. I'd like to invite our Professor Gopinath Pillai to introduce other speakers.
Yeah. So let me invite Reverend Father Eugenius Pereira. So Reverend Father Eugenius Pereira is a Latin Diocese Vicar General of Trivandrum. He is the spokesman of Latin Catholic Church, and he is widely known in Kerala society, a person who strives to promote religious amity and who fights for social justice, and his daring efforts to render solace and service to those who were affected during the Oki hurricane, which lashed out in Kerala coastal belt and brought about a lot of calamities. And during that time, his energetic, dynamic leadership was appreciated by the whole Kerala society. Let me invite Professor Eugenius Pereira to make his presentation.
Namaste to all. I respect Guruji and also Professor Gopinath, who are instrumental in organizing this beautiful summit. And at the very inception, I would like to congratulate you at a time when the whole world is yearning for a change. And we all know that at global level, the international, national leaders are virtually meeting to discuss about the atrocities of the climate change. And simultaneously, the faith leaders, I don't just limit it to the faith leaders, but global leaders who look deeply into, introspect into oneself, is meeting in another virtual meeting to look out for a new world order. Also, I am very happy that the very scholarly presentations of various speakers. At the outset, I would like to draw your attention to the current realities. We all know that the pandemic is ravaging, and a tiny virus, it's almost ravaging the whole humanity in a framework like the Third World War is being waged. And also the previous speaker has very clearly drawn our attention to the natural calamities, the climate change. Recently, more than 11,000
scientists gathered together and invited the whole world to look into the impending calamities, natural calamities, which would will be the reason for the climate change. And one of their invitation was like this: there is no time to lose. The climate crisis has arrived and is accelerating faster than most scientists expected. It is more severe than anticipated, threatening natural ecosystems and the fate of humanity. This is the context in which the faith communities gather together to re-reflect on how best we make change in the world. And also we know that another parameter, the market economy. Actually, the whole world is being driven by market economy and the profit orientation. It has drawn the whole society to a different framework. And also the religion. See, we are talking about the spiritual dimensions of the religion. But today, the religions are being politically maneuvered. Religion has got a political dimension. And power centers are making use of religion to obtain their goals. Therefore, we need to really reflect on the current situation of the religions and the spirituality. Also the fundamentalism, the intolerance growing, and the criminalization of religious values. We know the growing atrocities on women, atrocities on children, atrocities on trans. The transgenders, they are invisible in the societies. The Dalits, the indigenous people, the migrants, the excluded societies. And one more area I would like to bring to the notice as a background: destabilization of value systems and religious beliefs. The temporalization and peripheralization of realities destabilizes the value system. Not only the value system, but the very faith and religious belief systems are almost sabotaged. This is in the context. I would like to bring what are the changes. The whole world is yearning for a change. The realities are a birth pang for a change to be created. And this is where I would propose that there is a demand for a spiritual revival, which everyone was speaking about. Rather than the institutional, the cultic, ritualistic framework of the religion, but it must go into the depth of the spirit of the religions. That is love, compassion, justice, fraternity, peace, harmony, etc., which the global summit on Interfaith Summit is looking forward to. And all the gurus in their perception, they come to the main frame: love. God is love and love is God. And the humanity needs to turn around this spirit of love. Once this spirit of love is resumed, the greed, the selfishness, the hate, those dimensions would change, and the whole humanity, as everyone, my previous speakers have been saying that the whole humanity would converge around the spirit of love. And the love would transcend all the petty interests and build barriers and walls which divides people. So we need to recapture the spirit of religions the spirit of love. That will be the energy which would bring whole humanity together. And we definitely respecting the differences of each religion, their traditions, cultures, etc. But finally, as a humanity, with the nature, with the society, we have to converge together. And my previous speaker was speaking on the climate change and the ecological dimension. I think we need to, this summit must give a global framework to in search of a Nico spirituality. The human nature is part of the environment, the whole environment, the whole universe, the whole cosmic dimension. That must become part of our spiritual quest, and therefore the eco spirituality must be. And I would also propose that as part of reviving the spirituality and the eco spirituality, they must become part of the curriculum in the schools, curriculum in the colleges, curriculum in the society, I mean learning in the society, so that a new dimension to the whole faith life can be given. And recently in 2019, Pope Francis and the great Grand Imam of Egypt, Ahmed al-Taib, they met in 2019, and they were inviting the humanity for a convergence. And what they say is that the pluralism and the diversity of religions, color, sex, and language are willed by God and his wisdom, through which he created human beings. So the differences are part of the innate nature of creation. We must respect that and must build ways to live together. As various other speakers were telling, must build a solidarity in living together. And finally, I think the world is yearning for a change, a new world order. These years from 2000, the UN is looking out for a sustainable development goals. And the UN Agenda 2030 for sustainable development includes an emphasis to protect the planet from degeneration, including sustainable consumption and production, sustainability of managing its natural resources, taking urgent action on climate change so that it can support the need of present and future generations. Therefore, it is an opportune moment as the globe is searching to move ahead of the climate change. The spiritual leaders have a role to bring together the whole humanity to get out of the current realities. And let us together chant with the Indian sages, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way or other for the happiness and freedom of all. Let this faith summit be an opportunity for a global campaign that every human being, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their color, language, must come together to create a new world order, to sustain the whole humanity. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Professor Reverend Father Eugene Pereira. So Father has brought into limelight the vital issues that humanity are facing, like globalization or global warming, climate change. And he very pertinently pointed out the need of a spiritual revival going beyond the peripherals of religions And we should go deep into the essence of religions. Then only we can foster religious amity and unity and solidarity, which is highly essential in the given global scenario. And all his and the need of education, the relevance of education, and the eco-spiritual, the concept of eco-spirituality, it requires a lot of focused attention. And we are highly thankful to you, Father Reginald Pereira, for your participation and valuable suggestions and advice. Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Thank you.
So may I invite Professor Paneer Shelvam. Professor Paneer Shelvam is the General Secretary of Indian Philosophy Congress, and he was the former professor and head of philosophy in Madras University. And being the General Secretary of Indian Philosophy Congress, he has been working hard to take the discipline of philosophy in addressing socio-cultural issues of the people. He has made valuable contributions in promoting Indian philosophy and Western philosophy. So I invite Professor Paneer Shelvan to make his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Gopinathji. Most revered and respected Guruji, Dilipji, our teacher and one of the greatest philosophers of this country, Professor S.R. Bhatt sir, Honorable Chaplain Reverend Dione, who has given an excellent opening address, guest of honor, Professor Kitagawa, Professor R.C. Sinhaji, revered Swamiji, and the coordinator of this program, Professor Gopinathji, and my dear colleagues. I'm very happy to participate in this very important global interfaith summit. And I am of the view that the interfaith understanding between religions is the need of the hour. In fact, here I would like to study, very briefly of course, for want of time, two important concepts, namely faith and reason, as the two important components of religion, which has been playing a very important role in different religions. Especially, I would like to see this from the point of view of Christianity as well as Hinduism. So I would like to see a dialogue between these two great religions of the world. And as Ramando Panikkar has said, in order to have a dialogue with others, first of all, one should have a dialogue with one's own self. This is a prerequisite or prior condition which is very much essential for us to have a dialogue with the others. So in this new millennium, where science and technology play a major role, it is natural to ask the status of religion, especially when we are under the grip of a second wave of COVID. It is natural to ask the question, namely, what is the function of religion? What is the religious phenomenon of our time, not only as it is manifested at the present, but as unfolding into the future, is a question which we must address ourselves. To answer this question, we must extend our view not only to a particular religion, but also to all religions in general. And religious phenomenon can no longer be viewed within one religious tradition or within one geographical region, even within one continent or within one hemisphere. This means that it must be viewed globally, for the religious phenomenon of our time is a global phenomenon. This means the religious traditions of the world can no longer live in isolation, nor can they rightly live in tension or hostility. So, in a broader context, I would like to say that if at all religion has to become very important in the present situation, in order to have a new integration among ourselves, there are certain principles which we have to accept. The first principle is the concept of unity of human race. In fact, all our religious leaders have emphasized that. In Indian tradition, the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, that is the world as one family, has been emphasized. And the second important concept which is discussed at this context is that the divinity in man. And third is the essential unity of all religions. And finally, there is a reconstruction of society, which I think is possible by our religious leaders. So, it is our duty to work for the betterment of society. We must realize that as long as millions of people of the world go without adequate food and clothing, shelter and education, our theoretical postulation will not help us. So this means we have to attend to the people's need, and all our religious leaders have been making an attempt to solve the problems of the common man. The COVID-19 pandemic has made us to think about the life of a common man, unskilled laborers, guest workers, and others who have been ignored and neglected by the human society till now. Life has taught us to appreciate and value the service of health and sanitation workers, police personnel, doctors and nurses who have been working for us tirelessly, at the same time facing problems, harassment, and even assault. So we need to rethink some of our human values. For example, values like solidarity, love, and compassion has to be revisited by using the religious model which has been given by our great religious leader. In fact, different religious traditions has taught us how to treat the other in quotes. That is very important. The other cannot be neglected because, as Sartre said, my existence is meaningful provided the existence of the other is there. So the concept of love, for example, has been very beautifully taught in Christianity and Hinduism and many other religions, no doubt. But we should take into account that how we use religion in order to solve the existing problem. So in order to solve the existing problem, that is a COVID pandemic, we have to accept what our religious leaders have said. For example, it has been stated by our religious leaders that we have to accept the role of reason as well as faith. These are the two important concepts which play a dominant role in religious understanding. And I'll give one example from each religion. That is, from Christianity, I would like to quote the encyclical letter Fides et Ratio by Pope John Paul II, which explains the relationship between faith and reason. Pope says that faith and reason are two wings on which the human spirit rises to the contemplation of truth. So according to Pope, through faith and reason, men understand the meaning of life. If the inner meaning of life is not understood by human being, then life is not worth living. What does this mean? This means that we have to inquire ourselves the question, who am I? this has been emphasized both by Christian as well as Indian thinkers. Man has a purpose in life. The encyclical letter of a Pope searches the meaning of life. The subject matter of this document is a very beautiful document. I have written an essay on this. This document implies that there is some ultimate purpose which man as such continuously pursues, but that he does so unknowingly or at all events without a complete consciousness of it. So this means philosophy, according to Pope, helps man to understand the higher values. So if we understand the human values, or if we revisit human values by using the model which is given by Pope, then one can understand some of the problems of human beings, and he himself gives a solution to the problems which the humanity is facing. The journey of philosophers are traced by Pope to emphasize that faith and reason alone can help man in understanding the fundamental questions pertaining to man and the cosmos. So the revelation of God's wisdom, which is based on faith, cannot be tested by abstract reason, says Pope. Like traditional Indian philosophical thinkers, Pope also mentions that knowledge which is based on faith is something different from that of reason. He says, Pope says, faith alone, I quote him, faith alone makes it possible to penetrate the mystery in a way that allows us to understand it coherently, unquote. This does not mean faith rejects or disallows the role of reason. An excellent observation is made by Pope in the encyclical letter. It goes like this: faith intervenes not to abolish reason's autonomy, nor to reduce its scope for action, unquote. If we come to Indian tradition, we find that in Indian philosophical tradition or Hindu philosophical tradition, we find a similar approach given by our ancient philosophical thinkers. The entire philosophical discourse in Hindu tradition explains the different dimensions of reality. And in fact, like Pope, they also make use of two components, namely faith and reason. For example, the Advaitins, which is a philosophical Hinduism, I would say, considers the role of faith. The Katha Upanishads, for example, says the knowledge of ultimate reality cannot be given by tarka or reasoning, which means Indian philosophers were aware of the fact that tarka or reasoning has its own limitation. In fact, there are ample evidence which can be given from the discussion which are available in Upanishads as well as in Brahma Sutra. Shankara, the great Acharya, says that reason cannot be a way of knowing things. So here you can see how he was deliberately depending on faith. It is a way of arranging, correcting, and ordering, but itself cannot generate a thought or knowledge. So this clearly shows the limitation of knowledge. Shankara says a balance can weigh, but it cannot provide things which are weighed. So measure cannot measure, but it can provide things which it measures. So in the same way, it is said by Shankara that reason is very important for understanding something, but reason has its own limitation, which means reason, of course, is very much essential. It is a vichara, but reason alone cannot solve the problems of human being. So like Pope John Paul, in Shankara's philosophy also, or in Hinduism also, we see the significance of both faith as well as reason. The problem comes only when there is a superiority of one over the other. The approach made by Advaita of Shankara is not very different from what St. Thomas Aquinas and other medieval thinkers with regard to the interpretation of scriptures. Thomas Aquinas, for example, made an important contribution by synthesizing theology and philosophy, which to some extent is a synthesis between faith and reason. So it is clear, both from Indian as well as Christian tradition, that is both from a Hindu tradition as well as a Christian tradition, one can see the role of faith. So what we have to do is we have to depend on the faith statements made by our religious leaders. Only the interfaith movements or interfaith religious dialogue alone can talk about how the society can progress in future. This methodology is something which is very much essential, and I know I am exceeding my limit because I've been given only 10 minutes. So anyhow, I'm concluding by saying that it is a need of the hour to read our religions. It is not religious studies that is very important, but what we need is we have to revisit our religions. And not only that, we must have a dialogue with other religions. This means we must have an open mind to other religions so that we can understand the faith of the other religions. In fact, I have a group which I have established, and the group deals with or discusses the interfaith religious dialogue among different religious traditions. So one must have open mind to ready to listen to others so that the humanity can be improved. So with this brief note, I would like to close, and I thank the opportunity given to me by our revered Dilip ji as well as Professor Gopinath ji. Thank you very much.
So, Professor Pannishalamji, thank you. And your brilliant presentation has illuminated us, has given a new dimension in addressing or in promoting the interfaith solidarity and unity and inter-religious unity. And you have pertinently pointed out the need to promote this, especially the significance of faith. You have very pertinently brought out. It is very important, and the faith movements and faith leaders as well as religious leaders should take into account this element while addressing the contemporary issues. Your suggestions and your this illuminating presentation is highly relevant and important. Thank you, Professor Pannishalam, for your presentation. Thank you.
I enjoy the part you brought, Adi Shankara and Christianity, because it's very important in the Kerala history.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I hope we'll be in touch. We need further discussion about it. I like to invite our Queen Mother, Dr. Deloise Blakely. She is a community mayor of Harlem and NGO representative of New Future Foundation at the United Nations. Moreover, something I have to mention about her, she's with the African diaspora. She's a NGO leader to bring justice to all the African community. A long time, around 21 years, I know her at the UN. And she's always supportive to all of our events. She's one of our awardees from the past. And she met Mother Teresa. You know, they did some work in New York. She was in Calcutta. And Queen Mother, floor is for you.
Thank you, Goji, for allowing Queen Mother to speak. Just coming out of a meeting with Guruji that we were discussing the 55 million displaced Africans of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade. And at the United Nations, we have the Ark of Return. which was dedicated in 2015 by the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for the greatest crime ever committed against the people. I'm very teary when I mention my ancestors and swelling with tears on this week, and we remembered Mother Earth and the swelling of those of us who are into the light of spirituality. As the Queen Mother, representing 55 million displaced Africans of the transatlantic ocean of the slave trade, is my destiny. And the Ark of Return is returning the children, especially from the United States of America, the African descendants, to the soil of Mother Africa, to a place called Goree Island, the gateway to Mother Africa, which is a continent. And so with me, through my education and my training in the ways of religion, and I am so pleased that we have a body at the United Nations which is called Interfaith. Interfaith. Acceptance of all religions and denomination and the tradition and cultures of a people, which that is our religion, which is the soul, spirit, energy of a people, is born out of the tradition and culture of a people. And in saying that, since I represent those ancestors and a spirituality light, I just want to reflect and ask you to reflect with me through my tears of how I see where we are and who we are in this spiritual rendition. A reflection that I would share with you, and then I will put a pin in it for your reflection and being engaged with Queen Mother Moore's reflection. Earth is mine, says the Lord. Earth is mine, says the Lord, and all that roams and dwells within it. We thank you for the sound of the twinkling bird or the tweeting bird that holds onto the branches of the tree. We, the descendants, holding on to the branches of the tree and our spirituality that unite us to you. Rolling away of the white clouds as the sun bursts through in the twinkling of an eye. Rolling away of the white clouds as the sun bursts through in the twinkling of an eye. As the cosmos sets ablaze to welcome and receive us in our spirituality of life, in our quest for life, through the tradition and culture of a people. What a perfect and marvelous creation. We thank you. Whatever that life force greater than ourselves and the many names we may call that life force that sustains us every day every minute, every hour, every second of time. The Great One for releasing a world that the Great One created. Whatever name we may call that force greater than ourselves, that divine one, we will never be able to reach or grab, but to know you are God, the creator, the giver of all life force, the most high. And in many languages we express that beacon of light in our life, that experience that no other have, it seems, but ourselves. We ask you, we ask you, the Creator, to bestow upon us your peace and joy. That's what I seek. Many of us are seeking the same in our lives. To sanctify our souls, that inner space that we go to and that we communicate with and have this great desire to share with others on this planet or on this earth. And I would like to leave it there by saying, give thanks. Give thanks. Just give thanks for us having the chance and this opportunity globally throughout the world today. We have shared with each other from different ways of life and different schools of thought in this spiritual journey of life. And we just want to say, give thanks. Give thanks for this noble act to the Most High of praising and giving honor and glory to as we rejoice in this great festival of feast of understanding and acknowledging each other. Acknowledging each other. Queen Mother says, Mother Earth, with a tear that I drop for all of us in this life understanding of this divine quest. I thank you.
Thank you, grandmother. I love you, as usual. You know, I know around the world, people abuse African community. Now they start realizing that I know this will change. Minority always suffered. Majority rule over some places minority will rule over. This is not the world we want. We want everyone equally treated. We people, we religious, spiritual people, make sure we will treat everyone equally. Thank you. I'd like to invite Imam Shamsi Ali. This is my brother. We always do interfaith events together. We walk together in parades in New York City. Imam Dr. Shamsi Ali is the president of Nusantara Foundation. He's from Indonesia and he's living in America. He's advisor to All Faith Seminary International. And he worked with the different mosques and is a clergy leader. Very dynamic person, very open. That's what I like about him. Imam Shamsi Ali, floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaste. Peace, and salam, and shalom, everybody. I am truly honored and joyful, truly happy to see Queen Mother for after such a long time, missing her at the United Nations. And hopefully that we are going to meet soon in person. Thank you very much, Guruji, for giving me this opportunity. Sorry, I'm sitting on the floor. I'm in somewhere. So I just wanted to say briefly, this is the month of Ramadan for us Muslims. We are fasting, we are observing fasting. Today is Friday. Friday in the month of Ramadan, this is the time when we talk about interfaith. And for me, in one hand, it is very spiritual, very religious, you may say, but also very personal. Because seeing the reality of our world, we are very sad to see that we are still away from our promised land. Racism, hate, discrimination, prejudice, and wars still taking place. People are still, suffering of economic poverty, ignorance, and different types of things. And while at the same time, the rich are becoming richer and richer and richer. There are some people, even during this pandemic time, they are even becoming richer. And I just want to say that it is incumbent upon all of us. It is a heavy burden on our shoulders to carry our struggle so they can spread out love, compassion, mercy to every single human being. And the concept of religion basically is a unifying concept. Beginning from believing in one theology, in other words, that we believe in the same creator with different language, as Queen Mother mentioned. Different definition, different interpretation, but we do believe in the same supreme being who created the universe. That is a unifying concept. But at the same time, the unifying humanity, there is only one humanity with different human beings. There are many people, many human beings, but there's only one essence of our humanity. For my Christian friends and Jewish used to say that human beings represent the image of God or created out of God's image. The Muslims call that concept as fitra, purity of God, fitrat Allah, the purity of God. And every single religion basically leads us into the same concept, that we are deeply connected to our Creator. And so when we ask ourselves, what does it mean for me to be a human? The answer is because we are spiritual. We are spiritual beings in a physical body. So the essence of humanity is spirituality. And that spirituality is common. That spirituality is connecting us. That spirituality is our common ground to connect one another. It's not our political or social status. It is our spirituality. And when we come to our spirituality, every single human beings are the same. And therefore, there's a concept in Islam, for example, it says that the most honorable of you in the sight of God are the most righteous ones. And righteousness here is the representation of that spirituality. But that spirituality must be translated into our human character. And when we say that we have a common spirituality, it does mean that we have to see everyone with the equal eyes. That you don't have to feel being superior simply because of certain physical appearance or physical identity. That's what this translation of spirituality into our connections, considering every single human being as honored, dignified, because they represent the image of God. This is the first point I think we need to underline when we come to the issue of human relations. The second one, my brothers and sisters, as we see that evil tendencies still on the rise, and evilness can be perpetrated by any and against any. For those who are in America, we see that there was a certain time in the past when the Irish, even the Catholic, used to suffer. The Japanese, and then came the Catholic, the Quaker, then the Jews, then African brothers and sisters who came to this country forcefully. The only possibly group of people who came into America forcefully or out of their own willingness, South Africans. They were forcefully brought here to be slaves and still marginalized, discriminated against, and see what is happening these days. And then came Islamophobia. And then again, these days we have Asian hate. My worry is that people may know America as a hateful nation or discriminative nations. And hopefully not, because every single America certainly is proud of being American because of the values that we know. The Constitution is very clear. But we need just to learn. And so I just wanted to say, as we are facing this reality of hate, we must come together and we must speak out against it, because silence in front of the evil is complicit. Enough for evil to thrive when the good people do or say nothing. And my fight today can be yours tomorrow. And therefore, nothing that we can do except constancy of this evil in the society. Finally, my brothers and sisters, because of the time, we are living in a globalized world once again. We remind ourselves that our world is globalized, global in nature. And one of the most important characteristics of that global world is interconnectedness, interdependence, that none of us, there is no single group of people can live by themselves without the others. We are living under the same roof in 24 hours. This planet is our home together. There's only one choice for us. Let's save it together, or let's those irresponsible people destroy it. Climate change is one of the evident terrorism of our time. It's a terrorism, it's a form of terrorism. Terrorizing humans' life by millions of people die, different natural disasters because of this climate change. So we must remind our leaders to take their responsibility. And we thank those leaders who commit to this. May God bless all of you. May God have mercy on all of us. Thank you very much again, Guruji, for this opportunity. And I'm so happy I'm able to join. Thank you. Salam, shalom, and peace.
Thank you, Imam, for your words of wisdom and your love and care about us. We'll be in touch with you. We will do all the work together. We'll continue our partnership. Appreciate it. We have 3 more speakers, but before that, we need little music to relax. Where is our Misha? Yeah, our singer is here.
Yes, I am.
For it.
Okay. I'll sing a beautiful song about peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace and harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with Thank you, Guruji. I cannot hear you. It's okay, I feel it.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I'd like to invite Reverend Dr. Toshikazu Kenjisku. He is a president and founder of the Haiwa Peace Foundation, Reconciliation Foundation of New York, and advisor to World Yoga Community. He does a lot of peace events in New York and Japan. Numerous events, we do partnership events. He's an amazing religious leader to work with. So easy to work with TK. We call short name is TK. Where is TK here?
I hope you can see me okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing you. That's good.
Am I on the screen? I'm not too sure.
Please.
Yes, or I don't know. So I hope you can see me okay. Hello, thank you very much, Guruji, first of all, to invite me this important occasion that you have. It's my great pleasure to be part of this. And so, and then I'm going to use for today some of the pictures that I have. So maybe use the PowerPoint as well. Normally I don't do, but I thought it was more, the formal in one way. So, but at the same time, I just wanted to really tell you how, this gathering is very important. And especially recent years, the interfaith has been changed. And I mentioned it to you before, interfaith is before used to be a lot of Judeo-Christian people leading. And then gradually, maybe like I was in 1990s, that's where the things are. But then later on, maybe after the 9/11 time or the millennium time, more the religious leader gather. And then especially maybe Judeo-Christian and also, the Judaism and Christianity, and then the Muslim, the Islamic tradition become part of those brotherhood. But then later it also invited like Buddhists and Hindus and Jains, others. So it's getting a little bit, the circle is getting bigger and bigger. And so, which is a wonderful thing, I believe. And then that's really the global community that we are building. And for today, my part is a little bit probably different from the other people, maybe, but yet it's probably something very concerned that I have too in terms of the dialogue. When we have interface, happening, is we always wanted to have a more dialogue and so forth, but then sometimes we can't talk about it. Certain things used to be, and then now I think it's a little bit more time to be able to discuss. So you probably see in my background there's a little temple. It's the oldest temple in Japan, probably Zenkoji in Nagano Prefecture. It's but then the symbolism that you see is of course the swastika in my background, and also some other symbols too. But so it has been the symbol in Japan. If you see this symbol in Japan, that means Buddhist temple or Buddhism in general. So nobody think this is a swastika or anti-Semitism or violent symbol. It's more like a peace and then happiness and auspicious symbol. And then somehow when we have an interfaith, we start recognize other people, what they have. And so this is something that I would like to share a little bit mainly for today. So let me just start sharing my presentation, but at the same time, I'm not too good at doing this one. I hope this will be, you can see okay. Is that so I just wrote it the title. I don't know, maybe I should put a swastika from the beginning, but anyway, that's the things that I have here right now. And so it's the thinking of the future, basically, of the interfaith. So based upon truly, I guess, inclusive and balanced representation. And so which I meant was as I mentioned, as a dharmic tradition of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism become recognized more and more, and people have already realized or will realize that the swastika symbol, which is resembled to Hitler's emblem, has been used in Eastern revisions as one of the most respected and a good auspicious symbol, as I mentioned in the background of what I have of the Zenkoji temple. And then for the Hinduism and the others are same way, the different ways, but swastika equal like Buddhism in my sense, and then probably swastika equal Hinduism for Hindu people. So since I have been living in this United States, for more than 30 years, I have realized how much of the painful to see the swastika symbol for the Jewish and the others who experienced the Holocaust. So I was actually one of the persons who used to say we should not use this symbol in this country for more than actually 20 years. So I was sort of expecting at that time the US people will be educated and will understand the meaning and a history of the swastika symbol, somehow later on. But however, I changed my mind more like in 2009. Still, that was 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. At the Interfaith Leadership Gathering in New York, one of the experts of the hate crime lectured us that the swastika is a universal symbol of evil. And this words got me, really have to do something. Meaning, this person did not know even what the swastika means for Buddhist, Hindus, or Jains. And for, of course, Native Americans as well, some of them. So my feeling was that this ignorance should be stopped. And then some more education should be necessary. And then, since then, actually, for about 10 years, I've been working to bring correct information of the swastika symbol, as well as Nazi symbols called Hakenkreuz by the Hitler, And so in English, which is actually problematic translation, because Hitler always said Hakenkreuz, hooked cross. He never says swastika even in his language. And so, but then because of the translation, we always refer the Hitler's cross as also swastika, which shouldn't be. And so anyhow, oh, sorry, I forgot to change my slide. But anyway, let me see how I can change. So this is one of the example. When you see those pictures, what you see now, I mean, this is a Dharmic swastika, Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain. And I just example, I don't know what you can see the pointer, I hope. But so these are some Japanese one. Oh, I mean, Japanese part, but then also Buddhism, Chinese here. And then this is Afghanistan, I believe, that used to be the Buddhist country too. You know? And so there's some swastika in there. And this is actually a heart of the Buddha is a swastika. And then these are some Hinduism. So here you see the temple or Ganesh, swastika as this symbol. And this is actually one of the probably oldest one in the Mohenjo-daro. And so some of them, and then also Jain symbol, they're always famous for non-violence, and together with the swastika, of course, because swastika is a non-violent symbol, and peace symbol, and a special symbol. But somehow this has never been recognized. So that was one of the point. And then one of the reasons I decided to brought up this is actually recent incident, or actually the bill has happened. While COVID-19 was still spreading, the January 22nd, so 3 months ago, 2021, this year, okay? And an educational bill, S2727, issued by the New York State, which requires instruction regarding symbols of the hate to be incorporated into the curriculum for grades 6 through 12. And if this passed, the bill will mandate that the New York school children be educated regarding the meaning of swastika and nooses as a symbol of hate and intolerance. And of course, this bill was actually withdrawn by Senator Todd Kaminsky on March 25th, so 1 month ago, actually. And after hearing the voices by Hindu, Buddhists, Jains, and then supported by also Interfaith representative, sorry. And we agree, though, I mean, all of the Buddhists are, we agree the intention of the bill to stop hate, but disagreed a lack of understanding of the swastika symbol itself and create unnecessary bias towards Asian people. So we wanted to see the proper education on the swastika. I hope that's reasonable. And here I wanted to draw attention to the Hindu leaders and Jewish leaders have had agreement on the swastika symbol. Let me show you. Oh, sorry, I couldn't move it. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So this. Oh, by the way, the things that I'm going to talk about, because I cannot talk about everything, so that's in my book too. So if you are interested in learning more, of course, you can check the book, The Buddhist Swastika and Hitler's Cross. So since I'm Buddhist, I write it from the Buddhist point. Okay, but then there's some world of swastika. Sorry. And so this is the one that I would like to just share with you now, is a second Jewish Leadership Summit. And so this, during the second Hindu-Jewish Leadership Summit held in Jerusalem in 2008, a joint declaration recognizing the larger history of the swastika was made. It said, I quote, The swastika is an ancient and greatly auspicious symbol of the Hindu tradition. It is inscribed on Hindu temples, ritual altars, entrances, and even account books. A distorted version of this sacred symbol was misappropriated by the Third Reich in Germany and abused as an emblem under the which Heidel crime were perpetuated against humanity, particularly the Jewish people. The participants recognize that this symbol is and has been sacred to the Hindus for millennia, for long before misappropriation. So as religious leaders have already recognized the swastika, in my view as a Buddhist, we need to now implement this declaration by developing educational materials and workshops to inform the Western public of its larger history and usage. It applies to interfaith communities in the world as well. So maybe for your notes, I don't know how long do I have time, but maybe since, maybe I'll just conclude first, and if you have any questions, maybe add it. So my points here today, what I wanted to do here today is I just wanted to open the small hole, maybe, in a dark room in which the half of the world are still in, especially I'm talking about Western world, so that a little bit of light, will come into the room. Then maybe things maybe change. It's not dark anymore, And then global interface in the future requires us to be open-minded, open discussion based upon the truth. I believe that hiding the truth is not good, even though it may serve benefit for some. And in our time, transparency and openness are important. So my intention is not to change the meaning of symbol overnight, anything like that, Western people, but I hope that we'll begin to have dialogue and to develop our understandings and to implement proper educations, following the efforts of Hindu Jewish Leadership Conference in 2008. So if I have time, I will explain a little bit more, but I think I didn't see what time did I start, so I just turned it off. But so main part of the meaning and so forth is maybe something that you can just look up some of the history, but you may be surprised. The swastika that itself means good, to be good, so auspicious. Especially I'm talking about the Western people, and so I hope the interfaith dialogue, so try to include everything. Inclusiveness is very important. Then maybe this is a time to include various dharmic traditions and especially interfaith, when we say global interfaith, not just the interfaith in the West, but the interfaith globally, then definitely some of the signs, the symbols should be included. And then we just explain it, because it is a very interesting symbol if you look at very carefully. 4 legs all connected, like a 4 could be all the different seasons or connection, like a Earth, our planet that we are living. Then those legs are kind of connected each other. So it could be, some actually consider that's a different continental, four continents, or 4, as I say, 4 seasons, or actually for Buddhists maybe 4 noble truths, and for Christians, of course, there's the 4 what do you call it, sages, what Jesus has, and all those things. So the 4 has a lot of meaning of our life too. So hopefully that's something that we can do. So anyhow, that's all for my presentation, and thank you for the opportunity. And it's a little bit sensitive, but yet it's truth is something that we should always talk about. and that's in my my part of the philosophy, or for the last words of the Buddha is make yourself the light, make the Dharma, the truth, the light. So the truth, make the truth light is something very, very important. So I thank you, Guruji, again for giving me this opportunity to share some sensitive issues.
Thank you, Reverend. Take care. You
Yes,
brought
we-
this point. It's very important to protect the truth. We don't want to mislead some good thing for a bad purpose. So I'm happy about that one. I always stand with you for that purpose. We did so many events about it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all the support, and appreciate very much for your leadership of the interfaith as well. Thank
So
you.
I like to invite Reverend Dr. Kathleen T. Reagan. She's the Dean at the All Faith Seminary International. She's a trustee there and trustee of the New Light Temple and advisor to World Yoga Community. And their founder was Dr. Rabbi Joseph Galbraith. He used to work with us for so many interfaith programs since when I came to America in 99, Sami Bua, and we did so many events. I'm part of that, both of these organizations, and she's a yoga teacher and very easy to communicate with her, even day or night. It's very hard to do that in New York. So we call her Saraswati. That's an Indian spiritual name. She got it. The Reverend Dr. Kathleen, floor is for you.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much, Guruji, for putting this wonderful program together. And, I'm sitting here listening to everyone, and I just want to thank all the speakers for their wisdom and sharing so much. I'm going to just start with what I just heard from Reverend Dr. TK. I love the fact that you're promoting the truth about the swastika. And I remembered something. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I have to. I think it's so important. I have one son, and he's in his mid-40s now, but I remember when he was in 7th grade, I've been involved with yoga for a long time, and somewhere there was probably a yoga book laying around, and he saw that symbol. He didn't know what it was. And while the teacher, he's in 7th grade, while his teacher was teaching, he had a pen, and on the corner of his paper, he started to draw this symbol. And did I lose everyone? Uh-oh.
No, you are fine.
Oh, okay, because you disappeared.
I'm here. I can see you.
Okay. So I got a phone call from the school. They were very, very upset that he was drawing a swastika. The teacher was Jewish, and she took extreme offense to this. And they wanted to suspend my son from school, if not do more than that. They wanted him out of the school because he drew that symbol. He really didn't even know what it was. He saw it on a book in my home, but he had no idea what it was. And I explained to them that he really didn't know what this was. He saw it and he was just doodling in the corner. But could you imagine, because of that one incident, they wanted to expel him from school as a 7th grader. I mean, this is so important that people understand the truth. So anyway, I was really delighted to hear Imam Shamsi Ali also, who talked about spirituality, the essence of humanity. I always enjoy hearing Shamsi Ali speak because he is really such a wonderful representation of what interfaith is. I work for All Faith Seminary International, as Guruji said, and Guruji also works with us, and we're both on the board of directors, board of trustees. And it's so important to really not only get this message out to everyone, but to plant seeds wherever we are, plant seeds of justice, plant seeds of understanding. Our motto at the seminary is this: never instead of, always in addition to. And when a student comes to us, doesn't matter what faith tradition they're in, we tell them, we would like you to go deeper into your faith tradition. Study it even more while you're with us. And at the same time, open up your heart, open up your mind to the truth that is in all the other traditions, because this is how understanding tolerance begins. Interfaith work is so important in today's global situation. You know, yes, we have war, we have prejudice, we have poverty. I mean, you just turn the news on, you can't escape it. However, the work that we're doing here is so critically important to humanity. We are deeply connected. And what I wanted to share today with you is a special invocation or prayer that maybe many of you are familiar with. It's called the Great Invocation. And it was established, many years ago, in the 1930s. And it was established by a wonderful woman. Her name was Alice A. Bailey, B-A-I-L-E-Y, Bailey. And she had a Tibetan friend that she worked with for 30 years, DJ Wal Kul, K-H-U-L. And they developed and designed this invocation. They felt the energy and the message from that one supreme. It wasn't attached to any particular religion, but it was for all of humanity. And they wrote it to be given to the world for mass distribution, to become a world prayer. And here it is. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. I do believe that there is a new world order developing, but we have to stay in the arena and help promote world peace by events like today. We are interdependent. We cannot exist without each other. There's no way we can. And the more we get together like this and we do plant those seeds of understanding, of tolerance, of peace, we will slowly make the difference. I know that the United Nations is working very hard on these topics, but we do need to keep going in our own community to keep spreading this word of love, of mercy, of truth, of understanding, of tolerance, and act upon it. It's an understanding, but it's also an action. Without the action, nothing really will change. The science of invocation is in reality the intelligent organization of spiritual energy This is what we need: spiritual energy, forces of love that all human beings can work with openly. And this prayer, by the way, was translated into more than 70 languages, and it's all over the world. And it's said in all different languages, but the vibration of this is creating a wonderful network. And if any of you are interested in a copy of this, you can contact me. I will get you a copy of it. I will mail it to you. I am a big supporter of this invocation. And I want you to know that I am committed to a life of interfaith study and of excellence, discipline, and awareness. I've been a teacher all my life. I will be teaching for the rest of this life and probably lives to come. And, but it's a challenge. It is a challenge. But through my commitment and through Guruji's commitment and all of you that are here today, we can be empowered and fulfill that divine purpose on life. So may truth be revealed to all of us. Namaste. Have a beautiful, peaceful day. And thank you for making this world a better place to live. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Kathleen. It was wonderful to hear. And especially wisdom from our Old Faith Seminary. I know world need seminaries. We want to say seminary, a spiritual center, you know. Everybody can come and learn things, and having a cultural exchange, spiritual exchange. We will create the situation. I know this ashram also good. They have this vision, and we have that vision. When we do partnership events, it will grow. And TK and Audrey, all are wonderful beings, you know. We will make a plan for it. Thank you, I appreciate it. So I like to invite our host.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, you are here.
Yeah.
Please.
So thank you. So may I invite Sri Carlos Guzman from Mexico. He is the president of a socio-cultural organization called NANMA. He quite often appears on Mexican TV as a trainer in yoga. Then he's a motivational speaker. And moreover, he is the disciple of Navajyoti Sri Karunagara Guru, the founder Guru of Santhigiri Ashram. And the narrative of his spiritual journey from Mexico to Santhigiri is an amazing inspiration. And I invite Mr. Carlos to make a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Hopi. Satguru Ye Sharanam. Real spirituality for a coherent and productive life. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you on this beautiful day. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm going to share the teachings of Navajyoti Sri Karunagara Guru, my spiritual master, my spiritual guide, which will help us to lead a functional and more optimal life based on Dharma, that is the will of God. We are gathered today to attend to a collective need, which is demanding a change from us. The latest events that have occurred worldwide, derived from the pandemic, have caused us to pay attention to the way we are living, since there is a general feeling in humanity, in all of us, of an internal void. Something is missing, something is going wrong. And we need to do things in a different way, in a much different way, but we do not know how. We are perceiving a call to modify our lifestyles, to generate a constructive change that would help us holistically to lead a much better life. This problem that we face is of gigantic proportions, obviously, since it affects the healthy development of society and the world itself, as well as the evolutionary process of our souls. That is a very big problem, because we are here reincarnated with one essential purpose, that is the liberation of our souls. What the Buddha called nirvana, what Christ said, one of the many mentions of the house of my father, and what in India is called mukti or moksha. We are not clear about the purpose of our life, and unfortunately, we do not know how to direct it, because in reality, no one has taught us how to live optimally. We educate our children based on the education we receive, which has countless flaws, because no one taught us how to be a father and a mother. No one taught our parents or guardians how to do their job properly. Unfortunately, in many cases, the parents themselves generate traumas, complexes, frustrations, insecurities, bad habits in their children, which will affect them throughout their lives, even if the damage inflicted upon them is unintentional. We need an educational system that merges real spirituality with tools based on scientific knowledge. What is this? Neuroscience, epigenetics, neurolinguistic programming, coaching, emotional intelligence, positive psychology, and mental self-programming, which will help us to optimize our lives in every possible way. Here in Mexico, we have a nonprofit organization called NANMA, in which we impart 3 8-hour seminars teaching those subjects to help people how to live a more productive life. Happiness leads you to peace, and peace is a very important goal in life, because when you're at peace, you feel content, satisfied, and you have a much more positive vision of the world, giving you the ability, the opportunity to perform karmas in a more correct way and to evolve spiritually more efficiently. We need this type of knowledge to be taught in schools from kindergarten to university in an uninterrupted way, because we have an enormous tendency towards negativity. Research shows that the human brain has a very strong negativity bias, which distorts our view of reality. If we could see things as they really are, we would actually have a positive bias, because 75% of our lives are going fairly well. 75% of our lives are going fairly well, but why are we so unhappy? However, we live our lives so focused on the negative that we often do not realize, much less enjoy what we have. We don't appreciate what we have. This makes it impossible for us to be completely happy, to be completely realized. Usually, we do not consciously live our present moment enjoying it. We tend to live regretting the past and catastrophizing the future. Negativity bias. A very important tool that I call reconceptualizing life can help us to become more positive in the task of our life, our work, at home, with our family. I need to change my thoughts or attitude from I have to do it to I want to do it or I need to do it. I must try to find ideas about the benefits I can get from my actions. And these ideas should make me feel pleasure, well-being, or personal realization in what I do. For example, I have to exercise every day. So the thought of I have to exercise should be replaced for I want to exercise or I need to exercise. I must reinforce this new thought with other thoughts such as exercise gives me a better health, it makes me feel better, helps me release negative energies, strengthens my self-esteem, gives me more stamina during the day. The constant practice of this new way of approaching things positively will help to rewire my brain, forming new neural networks that will be reinforced with daily practice, improving my life, providing me with greater health, balance, and obviously happiness. Two additional tools could be teaching mindfulness meditation and the creation of a school for parents. That would be great, where these parents will be trained in how to educate their children with cutting-edge knowledge based, obviously, on science. We have in our life basically three formative entities: our parents and our family. Also, school and a path of spirituality, basically a religion. We need a life script, which must be a mixture of science and consciousness that teaches us to live holistically in the spiritual as well as in the material. My spiritual guide, Navayuti Shri Karunakara Guru, used to say that for performing good karmas in life, we need to be healthy. Healthier people have a much greater capacity to be happier and therefore to evolve their soul in a better way, to be more productive. We need a guide, a script of true spirituality to teach us how to live correctly, being loving, tolerant, understanding, empathetic, optimistic, to become good parents, happy people, useful members of society. And in this way, we will also have an important additional benefit. That is the main goal in life, the evolution of the soul. My guru explained that Dvaita is the way and Advaita is the. Dvaita is duality, spirituality and materialism. In life, we must work, but also we must have fun, go to the movies, eat at a good restaurant, go on vacation, watch television, movies. In short, we must try to be happy, because happiness will increase the chances for me to do good karmas and to evolve in a proper way. Dvaita, non-duality, means unity, God. And to attain such a high spiritual plane, we must live our lives being spiritual and material at the same time, finding a middle path and avoiding the extremes. Sri Buddha understood that ascetic practices are not good to evolve correctly. He understood that after 6 years of meditation and being ascetic. He said that avoiding the two extremes leads to enlightenment and deliverance from suffering. That is to say, mukti, the main goal in life, spiritual evolution. My guru used to say that life itself is the source of spirituality, the fountain of evolution. Praying and performing our daily spiritual practices is good, very good, but that is only a part of the real spirituality, since spirituality is actually life itself. That is duality. When something happens in my life, there's always a reason behind it. Life is perfect. Creation is perfect. God is perfect. If I accept what I live, I am accepting God. The greater the acceptance I have, the greater the connection with the divine light, and therefore the greater the evolution I will experience in myself. Remember the saying, no mud, no lotus. That is to say, light emerges from darkness, from our daily life. Through our struggles, we evolve. Our difficulties are simply God's blessings to all of us. They are the medicine to cure our souls, to make us evolve. The nature of creation is constant change. We see that every day. We can perceive that in nature. There are cold, hot, rainy, snowy, and also stormy days. In the same way, I can feel happy. That is good, but also some days I can feel envious, aggressive, pessimistic, unfriendly, negative. But this is not an issue. That is normal to have all these type of emotions, completely normal. We are human beings. But the real problem lies in allowing that darkness to grow within us and to act incorrectly as a consequence of that darkness. So I must work on my being to counteract the negativity that is within me. Otherwise, I will create problems, stain my soul, and hinder my spiritual evolution. I need to carry out a perennial self-analysis to realize, what am I thinking? What am I wishing? How am I vibrating? Because in this way, by analyzing myself, I can be aware of my faults and correct myself. There is a gigantic enemy in us, which is our mind. Our mind is my best friend and my worst enemy, because it always tries to protect us, fabricating false realities to make us to be in the comfort zone. If I am in the comfort zone, I cannot change, I cannot move, I cannot evolve. I have to, unfortunately, it is easy for me to believe these imaginary realities within my mind. For that reason, I have to constantly analyze myself so as not to deceive me, asking, how do I feel? What do I need? How am I expressing myself in the world? Maybe at that moment, I need more prayer, maybe more discipline. Yes, but maybe I need listening to music, watching a movie, or exercising to generate a good chemistry. That is dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, so I can feel good. And then I can be coherent, and I can be a person that can do good karmas. In short, I must have full attention to myself and my surroundings. I must have mindfulness to know what my being requires at that moment to be in balance and to vibrate optimally, so that I can be able to behave in a proper way. A fully realized guru is absolutely necessary for showing you the correct path based on Dharma, and specifically how the Dharma applies to you, the family, the world. He should be a Trikalanyani, a person that can perceive past, present, and future of everyone and everything. And in this way, through his experience and divine knowledge, can lead you in a perfect manner towards spiritual liberation through his enormous grace. I had the enormous luck of finding such a great soul in Santhigiri Ashram. I found him through visions, and some other time maybe I would be able to speak about such a wonderful experience. Navayoti Shri Karunagara Guru, my guru, finding him has been the greatest experience in my whole life. And maybe if you know him, if you meet him, might be also yours. Thank you so much, my dear brothers and sisters, to be here with you, sharing all this, and may Guru's blessings be with you at all times. Satguru Ish.
Thank you, Mr. Carlos Guzman, for sharing your wise words and experience. And I hope that this education that you imparted through your institution called Nanna, I think that is a very novel experiment in invigorating and imparting a new vision to the society and to the world at large. I hope that in future it will flourish and bloom. And all our best wishes. And thank you, Brother Carlos. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gopi.
Yes, Professor, please go with the final remarks. Dr. Gopinath, play. Unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, concluding remarks from you.
So So we find that so in the end of the day, we find that our effort has been rewarded because all the participants were highly fertile in their own fields, and they are all totally involved and dedicated to their concerned areas of work. It is what makes this get together meaningful, because only such people can contribute to the well-being, and only such people can promote togetherness, solidarity, and only such people can fight against injustice and marginalization and all such evils we find across the world. Because all the speakers, because the scholars, the professors, and the philosophers, they all emphasized and underlined the need of getting together both the religious leaders, faith leaders, as well as the philosophers together in charting a new vista, a new path to bring about global peace, harmony, and love by eliminating the hurdles that stand on our way. So that way, we congratulate all the presenters for their valuable presentations, and we hope that we will not stand here. We will continue this dialogue and get together till we materialize our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank each one of you, especially Reverend Dion, Reverend Audrey, Professor Bhatt, Swami Nanma, Professor Sinhaji, Imam Shamsi Ali, Queen Mother, Dr. Kathleen Reagan, Monsignor Pereira, T.K. Nagagaki, Hanin Khalid, and Sri Guzman, and Dr. Panir Selvam, and Misha Delafave, for all of your work to support us to have a successful event. Further, I want to give a note about our Professor Dr. Gopinath Pillai. Because of him, we made this event. Congratulations. This was a beautiful event.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank our ashram, Santhigiri Ashram, their support, all of their valuable partnership, and especially I want to bring Sri Shashikumar Chandanan, who is the person brought me 2 years back to the ashram for another event. So we brought our partnership from that onwards. I had to mention that part. And we have some volunteers are behind the scene. That is Maika and her group, Inamori musical group from Japan, and their volunteers, techies, and my student, Gabriel Martinez, is controlling the system from his home. And those who are the trustees from the World Yoga Community, Anand Patroli, Raj Bhushan from New York, and Sajid from California, and some people from India, some people from South America. And I had to thank all of them, because without them, nothing can happen. Delay. We'll conclude this event with a prayer. Om Loga Samasta Sugino Bhavantu Loga Samasta Sugino Bhavantu Loga Samasta Sugino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone. See you for the next program after 9 hours, I think.